Yeah, just taking it a day at a time.
Hey, I can't wait until Wednesday. I cannot wait until Friday. Honestly, last night stunk. You could anticipate the stank because you knew that OKC was going to have a significant response. But nonetheless, it did stink. But I cannot wait to see this team now with home court get back in the swing of things at the Fieldhouse coming up on Wednesday and Friday. First things first, my apologies on the voice. It's better than it was yesterday, but last night I felt horrific. So I am trying to rally from that just a little bit, but now is really not the time to go ahead after a game like this of significance to sit at home. So we're coming in and we're talking about the game. You heard Tyrese Halliburton, you heard Rick Carlisle, you heard the end games on the Pacers radio, the end game on ABC. And game number 2 was one that, if you're a Pacer fan, you would like to forget. There are some easy stats to get to right here. 35-9 is like the easiest. A 35-9 run. And what that was, Thunder basketball. In a nutshell, the Pacers turn it over, and when the Pacers turned it over like they did 15 times compared to 24 in game number 1, but that is still something they have to clean up. And then OKC did what they did not do in game number 1, and that is turn that into offense and scores. And that, and especially when you go through a period of drought offensively, you are going to get buried. And the Pacers got buried. So 35-9 is going to get you spent. 41 points in the first half is going to get you spent. I had mentioned at the half, and then it was kind of, to me, you kind of saw all this coming, especially after that you go for 41, and I thought the Pacers looked worn a little bit. And people took that as, well, you had 3 days off or whatever in between. That's not what I'm suggesting. I thought that they looked worn out there. I thought the Thunder did wear them out over the course of the game. Everybody is right about Tyrese Halliburton. Has to be at his best, both orchestrating and individually finding his own, and he could not do that until basically the game was no longer in doubt. Although, when I will say this, when he did do it late in the game, nobody was riding with him. So that was problematic. So you go 35-9. You go Halliburton numbers throughout most of that game. But here's the kicker. It is one thing to let Shai Gilgeous-Alexander throw up 30-plus. He normally is going to do that. 34, goes to the free throw line 12 times. That's what he does. That's why he's MVP. You can expect that. Jalen Williams still hasn't been the Jalen Williams that I have expected to see, but he put up 19. He had a really nice game. Holmgren was back. He scored more in the first quarter than he did in the entirety of game number 1. 15-6 was his end result. But this is how you know that you're probably going to get stomped. You cannot, between them, allow Alex Caruso and Aaron Wiggins to put up 38. Off the bench. That can't happen. Believe me, Oklahoma City is deep. Oklahoma City has a great deal of talent. They would say the same damn thing and probably did in game number 1 about Obi getting 17. With what else is working for Oklahoma City, and certainly if you have a guy that just rolls out onto the floor and is going to give you 30-plus, you cannot surrender 38 to 2 dudes off the bench. I thought Wiggins, especially in moments when the Pacers were starting to make a run, the offense got significantly better for the Pacers in the second half. The problem then was they just couldn't put together any stops. Think about this for a moment. They go from 41 to 66 from the first half to the second half. The bigger problem was what they surrendered. 64 in the second half. So basically what you're doing is you're trading baskets in a situation where you're down 15, 17, 19, over 20. That is not going to work. But again, that is not altogether unsurprising. Or if you haven't watched the NBA or this Oklahoma City team recently, it should not surprise you. That's what they do. If you're thinking in terms of what the Pacers do and what they're known for, and those are the late game situations, what you witnessed in OKC last night is what they're known for. When you're saying, well, this is 1-1, and I've gotten a lot of schlep rock attitudes out there today. A lot of schlep rock. I don't know if that just comes with the territory or where we are or what. But a lot of, well, I know it's 1-1, but hey, numbnuts, it's 1-1. That's a hell of a lot better than 0-2. And the only reason why you bring this up is because the last two on the road, the Pacers were 2-zip. And because historically speaking, in this postseason, game threes haven't worked out. I don't know if the other series at all would equate to what you're going to end up getting in this one. This is a different level of competition altogether. So you can look at it that way. The whole 1-1 thing, where they were lucky. Think about it from this standpoint. People are going to tell you that the Pacers are lucky to be up 1-1. Think about it from the Thunder stance. OKC should be up 2-0 in their mind. In their mind, they gave game number 1 away. So you are still in a tremendous position. I don't give a damn how they played last night. That's up to them to make it up, to get better, to find a way. So I didn't lose any confidence in it. There were a lot of aspects that, to me, spoke as far as just who this Pacer team might be. They go through moments like that with their star and their leader. They go through moments like that with their best players. The one thing that does stand out, and this is different just because the team is different, the volume of turnovers. 24 times in game number 1, 15 times in game number 2. That is what puts you in a lot of trouble, because not only when you turn it over, and you saw that in game number 2, they ended up getting that down the floor, and they turned that into points. I thought the best part about game number 1 is the fact you turn it over 24 times and only surrender 11 points off of turnovers. That's got to be some kind. You need to put that one up in the Hall of Fame. That's impressive. Normally you don't suggest, well, you're impressive when you turn the ball over, but you're impressive when you double your ass back and play defense in that type of situation and don't allow the turnover to transition into points, easy points. And that's what Oklahoma City does. Last night, that wasn't the case. Last night, Oklahoma City had ownership basically from the time Tyrese Halliburton first went to the bench, and then go on that 35-9 run, and that was all she wrote. Do I agree with you that Tyrese Halliburton has to be better offensively, individually speaking? Yes. Is it going to be tough? Absolutely. But guys of that magnitude have to find a way. So he's going to have to find a way to be himself, to get everybody else going, to be the essence of this team that we have seen. And then also find the way to get his own. He's got to get to that 20-point mark, because the Pacers are damn near invincible when he does. I know we're just talking about stats and game to game. That geekery could be different. But you look at that, when he goes over 20, they are damn near unbeatable. And that's what you have to find a way in games 3 and 4. Get the crowd. Get the fact that in 25 years, the NBA Finals has not been hosted here. Turn everything loose and go have some fun with it. But no, yeah, as far as losing that game, it was disappointing the way that it went down, because you hoped for better. You wanted better. But the fact that you get out clean from OKC, even in a best of 7, please tell me you're not going to whine and cry about that. I will say this. If you're going to bring up the possibility of an injury to Tyrese Halliburton, I would hope not. But I did see the video of him limping off, if you want to call it a slight limp or whatever, after the post-game press conference. I don't know if it's unnerving, but certainly is something to notice and until proven otherwise to watch. And this is going to be more than just a Halliburton thing. He's at the top of the list to be better, but everybody else has to be better. And you have to have games 3 and games 4, don't you? Yeah, you know me and my must-win situations. Don't you have to have both of these? I know in a series like this, when there is a tough team on the other side, it is really difficult to find ideal situations and then to make it feasible in your mind that those things can take place. But the Pacers have to do that. Pacers can't give one up in the fashion OKC did in game number 1. All right, trying to find a way defensively against Gilgeous-Alexander. That's basically what's going to happen, but I agree with Rick Carlisle. The smoothness and the relative ease in which he has. See, it's interesting. Like, you go from game 1 and game 2. I thought he looked a hell of a lot better in game number 2 because they ran away with it. In game number 1, there were moments down the stretch where I thought the Pacers and Andrew Nembhard did a fine job with him when you saw the Thunder trying to close and they couldn't. And then on the other end, I thought they did a great job of putting him in situations where he had to guard somebody. Yeah, but as far as being schleprock or depressed or, this 1-1 really favors the Thunder. The Thunder have been the favorites the entire time. I mean, hell, any team that's played the Pacers, for the most part, has been the favorite. So that's nothing different. This team just has another level to try and respond to. As much as they serve notice, and it was kind of funny. I get a lot of people, and this is true, that go from, hey, in game 1, remember after game number 1 on Friday, everybody was talking about snatching the soul or taking the heart of the Thunder. If you were somebody out there that uttered that, would you not kind of look in the mirror and go, God, you're a dumbass? You knew that wasn't going to happen. You knew with these guys, they are different, they are loaded, they are smartly coached, they are talented, they have the MVP. They have a go-to that's going to get it done for you every single time. Of course, that wasn't going to happen. This team, simply put, is not going to go away that easily. And you saw them serve, as much as the Pacers served notice in game 1 with that win in the late game situation, you saw the Thunder more be the Thunder. And if you watch the Thunder play in this postseason, very reminiscent to what you saw back in the Western Conference semifinals between game 1 and game 2 with the Nuggets. Very much in that ballpark, that general vicinity. Caitlin Clark ramping up activities, will not play coming up tomorrow against Atlanta for the Fever. And the announcement from the Colts about who the leadership is going to be. Those are stories we'll talk about coming up a little bit later on. Eddie Gill is going to join us coming up in the 4 o'clock hour from Pacers Radio. He joins us as the former guard to talk about some of those qualities that went down and in favor of the Pacers in game 1, and then the qualities that kind of came undone in game number 2. Eddie Gill joins us coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Stephen Holder of ESPN coming up after 5 today. Is Josh Chalfant going to join us at a couple of different locations, James, later on this week?
We're trying to get him locked in for Wednesday.
So we are at the pub on Wednesday, correct?
Yes, we are.
At the pub on Wednesday for a little pregame before game 3, and then pivot in the Hyatt House, both right across the street from Gainbridge Fieldhouse on Friday. Now, if you're asking, because a lot of you brought this up, are you going to be at game 3 to restore order? That is still up in the air. I don't know about game 3 just yet. But damn straight, game 4, Tommy S. and I are going to attend on Friday. Damn straight. By the way, too, I wore the Michelob Ultra Pacer shoes to the event last night at Tom's Watch Bar, and unfortunately, they suffered the first loss of the season on my sweet feet. I was a little upset about that. Normally, the shoes bring it. The Nike Air Dunks, the Michelob Ultras in blue and gold, they bring it. Unbeaten. Until that moment yesterday. And by the way, shout out to Damien and everybody at Tom's Watch Bar, everybody that showed up. It was absolutely packed. Had a great time, too. I did have to bail around halftime, but had a good time nonetheless, and hopefully we will be back. Again, 2 locations. That's Wednesday and Friday. The pub coming up on Wednesday before game number 3, and then Friday we're going to be at the Pivot inside Hyatt House, both right across from Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Wednesday and Friday with Michelob Ultra. Cannot wait to see you around there. Otherwise, 239-1070. Again, apologize for the sound here. I did not smoke 25 cartons of Camels before I came in. I think it's a product around here, James. I think around here we just like to hand off sickness to everybody. So I like Landon Kuntz a great deal, but it may not keep me from beating the absolute crap out of him pretty soon. Because I knew that was coming. When was trackside last week? I knew it was coming.
It must have been like Wednesday.
Was
I
it
think.
Wednesday?
I believe it was Wednesday.
Because he walked in here, and I go, "How you doing, Landon?" He goes, I feel like I'm about ready to die. And I go, "What the hell are you doing here?" Getting ready to pollute me. Thanks a lot.
Well, see, now I got to stay in the same room as you for the next 3
Who
hours.
so I'm pollute you?
Yeah, I'm next in line.
James is about ready to be polluted. And this is not a good time for pollution. This is not a good time for any of us to be polluted. This only happens in the past 25 years once. Just celebrate that bad boy. Come on. Can't be sick. We can't have time to be sick. I mean, hell, if you're going to say this, different anyway, I guess, today. But for the most part, every day, weather-wise, has been awful. I don't even know. Has anybody had any sort of late spring feeling? This weather's been terrible. Today, it seemed like it was a little bit better outside. But over the weekend can smooch the rear end. Those that forecast that, I don't blame you, but I do like to make fun of you sometimes because of it. That sucks. Got to get us something a little bit better. I think I've had enough rain. I think I'm good with the rain right now. Oh, man. All right, 239-1070. I got calls coming up on the other side. I got Eddie Gill coming up after 4. Stephen Holder coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. James, anything to give away this week? What do we got over there?
I don't believe we do.
That is a bunch of crap. Why not? We got to give the people what they want. That's free stuff. By the way, Doug sent me something on X about the Yes Sir shirt. I think Showbiz took the lone Yes Sir shirt out of my office.
That's right, he did.
But I
didn't he?
I do have one at home, I think. I'll bring it here.
There you go.
Yeah. Because remember, he went out with us to a remote. He was the engineer, and he wore a Karis Levert. And I go, good God, man.
He did need to get some updated Pacers apparel
Well,
right there.
I thought if there was one way to wear, I would accept you wearing anything that says Yes Sirs on it, with the Josh Chalfant song, by the way, too, notwithstanding. It is getting something on that is not a Karis Levert jersey.
That's fair.
Yeah. So Doug sent me a message a little bit earlier today. Doug, I have that for you. I'll dig that out and bring it here. All right, meantime, 239-1070. Are you slept rock about this? Why have you been? Why are you slept rock? It's 1-1. Feel good about this. If they give you a reason to go down that path after Wednesday, then so be it. But 1-1 against OKC, coming back from OKC, you got to whine and cry and piss and moan about that because that's not going to be me. I'll be mad about some of the things that happened last night. But I would expect, as we have witnessed with this team all season long, I would expect a bounce back. This is still the same resilient group, but it's also the same resilient group that has struggled dealing with what, my friends out there, this season? What have they struggled in dealing with? Prosperity. being in a good position. Seems like that they really respond when things are tight. I mean, maybe it's just a coincidence, but certainly there have been a lot of moments, I think, that would speak to both. All right, stream the app, HD Radio, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Get in there. Hey, sign up for the IndyCar. Let me see here. Where are we? Yeah, the IndyCar two-seater until the 12th. AAA.com. Become a member. You can get a free ride in the IndyCar two-seater. Become a member because you're going to go on vacation this summer anyway. Make sure somebody has your back on the roads. Become a AAA member today. That's AAA.com. And know this to be true. You're going to get perks everywhere, including Ruoff, and the concert schedule is officially underway. AAA.com to become a member today. That's the AAA Membership Lounge. Stream the app, HD Radio, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
and calls you a I want you to be nice.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Well, first of all, Wiggins and Caruso played great. Those guys played great. I thought the atmosphere, I thought their crowd was exceptionally great. And so as we go home, we're going to need our crowd to be just like this crowd was. I mean, these fans took it to another level tonight, and that's how Gainbridge is going to have to be, for us to have a chance to be successful. And Caruso and Wiggins, as you mentioned, both those guys shot it well. They caused other problems. They ran well. They made plays. They got a great feel for when to cut, and they hurt you in a lot of different ways. And so, Shea, you can mark down 34 points before they even get on the plane tomorrow, for the next game. I mean, the guy's going to score. We gotta find ways to make it as tough as possible on him. Williams played really well tonight. All their guys played well.
That's Rick Carlisle. He's going to rally you guys. Like my voice. My voice needs to rally, and you're going to have to rally the fellas coming up on Wednesday night. I would expect nothing less. I would expect nothing less than you guys, because I'm going to be down there. We'll all throw back, many. Maybe Josh is going to be down there with his Yes Sir song. Listen, I am not. We have enough opportunity around here to roll around with the storm cloud over our head and cry and whine about crap. I'm not going to cry and whine about this team being even in a best of 7 against OKC coming back here. I'll leave that up to you whiners and criers and you pissers and you moaners. I'll leave that up to you. Now, I'll reserve the right if they drop a game 3, for example, and then that's when we can go deep. But last night, did you not kind of expect that? What did you expect from the Pacers? Listen, it would be great if they would have performed better. It would have been great if you didn't see Wiggins and Caruso combined for 38. It'd have been great if they didn't gag up a 35-9 run. It'd have been great if Tyrese Halliburton would have been more offensively, I don't want to say focused, that's probably the wrong thing, but more offensively productive earlier in the game. But as far as whining about their position at 1-1, don't you guys get enough whining? It's funny, too. I'm like the guy everybody points the finger at. Like, all you ever do is bellyache and whine, be critical for circumstances where there's a reason behind it. It'd have been great if the Pacers came back here 2-0. Did you honestly expect it? I know you guys, too. I do. I know you guys. You guys all expected 0-2 when you came back here. You know you did. The other thing, this team has, I'm trying to think, the last, I guess it would be game 6 against the Knicks, but they are due an incredibly strong performance, are they not? It's like Rounders in game number 1. You're just kind of hanging around. The kids got alligator blood. Only bad Malkovich right there. Teddy KGB. And they ended up what they have done throughout this postseason, which has been great. But so did OKC in game 2. That's just what they do. That's why they were arguably the best team of the regular season this year. That's why they were everybody's pick to win it all. Because what you witnessed last night, that's what they do. That's what they're known for. You come back here 1-1. This is probably the worst analogy of all time. Yeah, you take that like you stole something. I don't even know what that means. I guess you got away with it. JV, you sound like you ran a takeover show on Saturday night and then yelled at a local sports team on Sunday night. I did not yell at a local sports team. This was all created because here we're playing tag with some sickness. And I was it. I think I was it on Thursday. Tag, you're it. I was not. What do they call it? Home base? What's the safety position in tag?
Yeah, I think home or safe or just base
Home
or
base,
whatever.
whatever.
Yeah.
I guess this is a summertime term, even though the weather out here sucked. We're playing Marco Polo with sickness. Because last night I felt horrible. I felt much worse, just health-wise, last night because of sickness, Bob, than I did about the fact the Pacers lost game number 2. It stunk the way that it went down. And they did have some prosperity they were dealing with, and at least didn't even make it competitive. That's a bummer. But 1-1? I'm sorry, I can't be Sleprock over that. Jeremiah says, I think you're channeling your inner Doc Rivers or PJ Carlissimo today. The late Marge shot, honey. Mark Patrick's somewhere listening right now, very proud of my impression of Marge Shart. My Marge shot is very much Mark-esque right here, I think. JMV, the Pacers win game 3. They will be in the same position as the last 3 series, 2-1. If they lose game 3, then all bets are off. I mean, that's when you start going, okay, now you just hand home court back to OKC. That's a trouble area. But being even after 2 games in Oklahoma City with the highly favored Thunder, you should feel great about that. Who would take that before this series? Anybody? I see a show of hands. Who would have? Yeah, this is bad because of what? Of the way they played last night? It's a resilient group. Now, I will say this. You don't want them to continue to try to live as they have. But if they can make it work, you make it work. JMV, is it me, or is this how Halliburton has played when he's had his back flare-ups? On top of him limping away last night from the post-game interview, just seems all too familiar. I'm hoping I'm wrong. Well, we'll say this. He got into it late. So I'm assuming his back was, if his back was flaring up, and that's the reason why it took him so long to get engaged offensively, individually speaking, then how do you explain, I guess, getting into it offensively late? Things ease up? But I get where you're going with that, Wes. Thanks for the email. 239-1070 is the number. Cam is up first today. Cam, welcome to the show.
Hey, John, appreciate it. Just a couple things.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people talk about the refereeing and, how certain guys get called, I tend to think like a lot of people, certain guys have reputations, and last night had nothing to do with the referees. But, guys like Dort and Caruso, they kind of like the Draymond Green effect, they're known as physical defenders. So they're going to get, they're going to get away with being able to bump a little bit, being able to hold. And my gripe with Tyrese is the only way that you're going to maybe get a call or do anything is being aggressive. Because if you take yourself out of the game and if you're not shooting, you could kiss, any free throw attempts or anything down the drain.
No, well, I would agree. I would agree with that. I just don't know how often he's going to get there anyway. I don't know how comfortable he feels doing that. Clearly, he feels more comfortable trying to get everybody else together first. But, hey, point taken here, Cam. You have to have it. You've got to have, ideally speaking, when he goes over 20, this team wins. So he needs to climb over 20 and take advantage of that. And the way to do that is you have to be more offensively aggressive. And, maybe they found some ways and means to do so late. They got him some looks late against that defense where, people said he was stuffing the stats. I think they were just trying to run some things to find out what was going to work. Maybe you can take away from what worked offensively for him to get him more involved late and have that transfer to game number 3 Wednesday night.
Absolutely. And the last 2 things I want to say just real quick. I noticed in the second half, they were definitely trying to get Turner going down low on the block. And I know that Carlisle said, I think after the last game, that team, OKC, makes it so hard for them to get the ball in the post. But when Miles did get it in the post, I mean, I think he picked up 2 fouls on Chet immediately. So that's one thing maybe I could see them trying to do next game. And then the last thing I'll say really quick is, you talk about making Shea have to work on the defensive end. I know he's a better defender than Brunson. I know he's a better defender than Donovan Mitchell, but he plays full quarters like those guys do. I trust our coaches. I trust our team to figure out a way that if this guy's playing all of the first quarter and all of the third quarter, to make him run.
Well, they didn't do that last night because they did a lot of their work when he was sitting. And that's another aspect you can't have. I mentioned the 38 from Caruso and Wiggins, but you can't have them gaining, really essential pieces of ground when he's over there riding the pine. You can't have that happen.
Yeah, they were giving Caruso and Wiggins. I don't care what players out there. They're shooting wide open shots for NBA
they're
players.
stepping into it and measuring it. Yeah, those are layups for guys at that level, man.
All right, well, thank you, John. I'll be in the building game 4, but let's go Pacers.
I'll be there, too. Cam, you better join us down there before game 4, too, at Pivot, right? Right.
Me and my boy Joey Molinaro, we're going to be there.
Oh, Joey. Get Joey on there a little bit. Man, that means, we are going to have a party if you and Joey show up. That's excellent. Well done.
Awesome. See you there, James.
Yeah, we'll see you coming up on Friday. That's after game 4 Friday at Pivot downtown in the Hyatt House. The pub downtown. Did I say after? I didn't mean to say it that way. Before at Pivot and the Hyatt House on Friday, and then before game 3 on Wednesday at the pub. Make sure I clarify that for you. Yeah, Eddie Gill was a part of the broadcast, obviously, last night. We'll talk to Eddie, the former NBA guard, about what he witnessed last night in OKC in a second. Casey writes this: last night's loss was not the end of the world just yet, but the Pacers have to figure out a way to get off to better starts offensively. Completely agree with this, Casey. They keep putting up first-half point totals in the 40s. This is going to be a short series. Well, it's not going to work. That's stuff that you're absolutely right. That's not going to work. Not going to work. Matt chimes in, having a couple of boys who play AAU, the way the NBA playoffs are being officiated is very similar. OKC has mastered the art of physicality, active hands without drawing an inordinate amount of fouls. It's one of those situations where they do it, Matt, at such a high volume, and they challenge. We say this all the time. You challenge the whistleblowers to have to blow it every time. And then this is where their depth comes in, because I don't think they really care. It's like, all right, well, this guy's got 6 fouls. Hack at it. Then we'll bring in somebody else that's got 6 fouls. Between swing guys, where you're talking about guard or forward, they have a lot of these same dudes. And that can help. Like, if you are a team without a lot of depth, then you're going to struggle being able to do this. But they have that depth, and they've got that down to an absolute science right now. Now, you know, little Thomas Dolby right there. Science. Yeah, that's how they do it. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Eddie Gill coming up at the top of the hour. You and me, Stephen Holder as well after 5 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
On your head. You drive fast, eh?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Physicality is a big part of the series. You know what I mean? I think that we got to establish ourselves physically, just as they've done. See what's going to get called, see what's not going to get called, and see how the overall tone of the game is going. And it's got to be a much better collective effort, I think, defensively. I think we did a little bit of a better job in that first half, but it's got to be 4 quarters of sustained defense.
Miles Turner right there. Game 3, Wednesday night, 8 o'clock, 7:30 coverage begins here on The Fan. I'll be downtown at the pub, and I would imagine I go 3 until 7:30, right? That coming up on Wednesday? That's what I imagine right there. Background music provided by the greatest cover song of all time by the Foo Fighters, Baker Street, did you notice? Rolled on the JMV Takeover. Courtesy of Ross and Plainfield on Saturday night. Yes, James.
I think we'd actually be going till 8 because pregame starts at 8.
Oh, pregame at 8. Is it 8:30 tip time?
8:30 tip time.
No, I got you. For some reason, I thought somebody said 8 or a little bit earlier today here. So, 8 o'clock is when we're going to be going to. That is lengthy. Hey, the Colts will now be owned, and you knew this already, but it was solidified and then press released today. The 3 daughters of Jim Irsay, the team's late owner and chief executive officer. That was announced today. Carly Irsay Gordon, Casey Foyt, and Kaylin Jackson will now serve as co-owners of the team. All 3 will serve additional roles, and this is how it goes down. Irsay Gordon will be the owner and chief executive owner. So that is the principal owner. And the 3 sisters themselves will share in leadership duties for the club. Foyt will become the owner and executive vice president. And then Kaylin's going to be owner and chief brand officer as well as the president of the Indianapolis Colts Foundation. So clearly this was something that was put in motion for a while now. But there it is, officially announced by the Colts a little bit earlier today. I am going to get into something with Stephen Holder, outside of that in the 5 o'clock hour. The Bengals are releasing linebacker Jermaine Pratt. And the reason why, you've gone through this before, anybody that has any relationship with a coordinator or a coach of a team, normally that team is going to be the first one mentioned when somebody's cut loose. And especially the situation the Colts have at linebacker. We'll talk about that possibility with Steven and more coming up here in the 5 o'clock hour of the show. All right, 239-1070. Give me Manny here before the top of the hour. Hello, Manny. How are you?
Hey, JMV, what's up, my dude?
Hello, Manny.
Hey, man. Hey, I just got a couple things real quick, man. Hey, man, I'm sorry to hear that you're sick, man, but you got to hit me. Ricky, hit him with the heater.
I know it, man. Forget about the curb. Oh, yeah, you want a little Lou Brown from me. Hold on, Manny. Hold on. Let me see if I can put something together for you.
All right.
Forget about the curveball, Ricky. Give him the heater. See,
man, you sound good,
hey, Manny, man, that's how you can tell. That's how you can tell I'm not as sick as I have been before, because normally I sound like Lou Brown, but that was a little bit off, so I'm not that bad. I'm good.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, man, everybody, we got these fair weather fans here in Indiana, man. Let me tell you something, man. I'm glad we won the one. It could have been worse because really, in all reality, OKC should have won the first game too. It was just Halliburton, which is what he's been doing. But we can't live and die with that all the time. We got to start from the jump. We got to score some points. And our fundamentals have been sucking, JB.
No, yeah, I'm right there with you on that. Yeah, there are a lot of things you can do. They've been far from good in these 2 games so far. If you want to hang your hat on something.
Man, my brother's from OKC too. He lives in Tulsa. So, he called me last night, right? I ain't even answering the phone because I already know he's going to give me the business.
I know.
That's okay. I call him later on the day.
Well,
but,
let me
yeah,
tell you.
man,
Let me tell you his business, though. And Manny, I got to run here, but you can tell him this: as much as they gave it to the Pacers last night, you can give him the whole gag job stuff of game number one. You cannot tell me that that is something that does not still stick with OKC because they should be up 2-0. That's why I'm telling Pacer fans, you don't have to schlep rocket around here. You want to see your team play better, but they got to OKC. They got out of there the first 2 games with a win. That's ideal. They're playing going into game 3, and game 2 is not ideal, but their situation is ideal. If you look at it any other way, then it's clownish behavior, and we just can't have it. Eddie Gill from the radio networks on the other side. You better stay right there. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Banana in the tailpipe.
You're not gonna fall for the banana in the tailpipe?
It should be more natural, brother. It should flow out like this. Look, man, I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, I think we just got to do a better job of getting to the paint. It's a lot easier said than done, but I feel like in the first half we were just moving the ball on the outside, and I don't think we had a single point in the paint in the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken. So, our offense is built from the inside out. We got to do a better job getting downhill. They collapse and then make plays from there. But thought we could improve a lot there. But yeah, man, they're flying around. They got great point of attack defenders. They got great rim protectors. It's a great defense. So we can do a lot better job, and we'll watch the film and see if we can get better. Going into Game 3.
That's Tyrese Halliburton right there. 1-1 best of 7 NBA Finals. Game 3. Gainbridge Fieldhouse coming up on Wednesday. Pre-game is right here. I'm going to lead you to the pre-game. I mean, does he say 8 o'clock? Is that for real, 8 o'clock? I'm going to be on from 3 until 8. So are we going to get James? Somebody told me James Boyd was talking about how he was dominant yesterday morning and playing a pickup basketball at Southport. Did he add that I whipped everybody's ass? Because I was just an ass whipper.
Wait,
and I played sick, too.
You played with him?
Yeah, he played.
Oh, and you were sick, and you still whipped his ass.
Yeah, and I also did JMV Takeover till 1 in the morning.
There you go.
Because I wanted an extra hour because I wanted to play some 90s slow jam and get some Hean and Sheehan sound in there before I went home. So I stayed until 1 a.m.
Well, I hadn't heard about any of these basketball games going on, but it's good to know that you're so good even when you're sick.
Somebody had told me that he had said that he was unstoppable. I thought, what? I whipped everybody's ass. They know it, too.
Is there any video of him being...
I thought they were going to put a banner up for me at Southport, but they didn't. Andy Moore on the Motive Group hotline. So our good friend Eddie Gill, the former NBA guard for the Pacers Radio Network, joins us on this Monday. Eddie, good afternoon to you. How are you?
Fantastic. How you guys doing?
Good to have you back in town. I have tried to defeat somewhat of a schleprock-esque attitude of some Pacer fans that are down on the way that went. And mind you, this team has to play a hell of a lot better. But if you go to OKC, you come back for Game 3, even at a game apiece. If you could have given me, if you just said that any other time during the season, I would have paid you for that right there. What a great position this is. The thing you have to take care of is yourself and play better. So I think Pacer fans should feel good. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the overall results of the two games, and and ultimately you get out of there with a split. You have some reason for optimism coming back home for these two games, Wednesday and Friday. You definitely have to feel good about that. But I also believe two things can be true. To your point, yeah, you want to say, hey, we got we got one win, but there's certainly things that we can improve upon and increase our chances or our likelihood of winning, if not one, 2 games here at home.
Where do you start? And we heard the words of Tyrese Halliburton on the inbound here to bring you on the show as Eddie Gill joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I'll get to something else in just a second, but his offensive game, when he goes over 20 and still is the orchestrator that he normally is, this team, Eddie, is damn near unbeaten. I mean, they are so good, the best they can play. How do you get or how do you bag what we saw late in the game last night in game number 2 and get that going earlier and not have to wait so long for? What do the Pacers have to do, and did they find something in that category in the latter stages of the game?
I think in the latter stages of the game, outside of him being able to take some confidence from seeing the ball go in, get into his mid-range. I think he got to one layup. He hit a 3 in the corner in that fourth quarter. Outside of seeing the ball going in and confidence, those shots going in really had no impact on the game. The game was decided. It was pretty much over. They weren't pulling a rabbit out of the hat that night. OKC had complete control of the game from start to finish. So I would say the only thing that he personally can take from that is, hey, I need to just try to get myself going early on. But having said that, there's a different mindset and will that the OKC was playing with to start that game. So you're going to have to really battle it out and try to create some easier opportunities. I think it really has to start what they do defensively, because playing against their half court defense is treacherous, right? Their half court defense is probably one of the best that we've ever seen, quite honestly, regardless of era. They're just really good in the half court defensive scheme. So, but yeah, he cannot be a guy. He can't end the first half 1 for 5 from the field, and he'd probably be the first to tell you that. It sounds though in that interview he talked about it. You have got to figure out a way to attack gaps, attack seams, and get into the lane, because passing the ball out on the perimeter and somebody jacking a three late into the clock, is just not a recipe for success. When you relegate to that, it's gonna be a rough night.
Yeah, he is Eddie Gill on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I did want to add to this before we move away from Tyrese Halliburton. I'm sure you probably have seen the video of him kind of limping off the set after the post-game presser. You take anything away from that whatsoever? I didn't notice too much, at least at the tail end when he was still playing, and obviously there were moments when he put up numbers that they weren't ultimately going to get that win, but maybe it was good to see the ball, as you mentioned, go down. But anything stand out to you as far as something injury speaking that could have an impression on things going into Game 3 Wednesday night?
Yeah, I didn't see anything during the game in which he would have done to aggravate anything early or late in the game. Now, that doesn't mean that something didn't happen. Obviously during the course of the game, there's a lot of different actions in the game, so sometimes it happens, and sometimes your adrenaline can carry you through to the end of the game, and then you feel it after the game and into the next morning. So I didn't see anything. I'm not sure what his status is and what he feels like today. I'll tell you, it's a good time to have 2 days in between games like they have. I think with only the exception will be between Game 3 and 4, where they'll have one day, but other than that, it's 2 days in between. So I don't really have any major cause for concern. I haven't heard anything. I guess time will tell on that.
So I get back to him and the way that they played offensively and how they have to look offensively. I got down to this. Still too many turnovers. 24 in game number 1. They survived that. 15 in game number 2. You got to tighten that up. And for goodness sake, you can't let the combination of Caruso and Wiggins go for 38 off the bench and expect to survive it with what they already have, in that game in general, starting 5-wise. That's going to be tough to take if you allow that for OKC.
It is, but I think a lot of it is predicated upon what SGA is doing. He's going to go and get his numbers in terms of scoring because he's so aggressive and he's so good. The problem becomes when, I thought ball screen defense was poor for the Pacers. He split the ball screen a number of times, and once he gets into the lane, now it's just curtains. I mean, and I don't care who it is, but any pro standing on the 3-point line by themselves, they're going to make shots. That's just what pros do. So when he gets into the lane and he sprays it out to those guys, they're going to make those. They're both really good in transition. Also, you mentioned the turnover aspect. If they turn over live ball turnovers, they get out in transition. Now you're chasing the ball all over the court. They're both good in transition. They can score at the rim. But again, I'll end where I began. You have got to try to control the basketball on the perimeter. Otherwise, you get into a place where you just start chasing it around. You're leaving these guys open for 3-point shots. We saw it in game 1 with Lou Dort, where he hit his first 4 or 5 threes because you're chasing the ball. But again, it's much easier said than done. But if it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt. The thing that stands out to me, Eddie, you and I talked about this on Friday, is that in game number 1, 24 turnovers, but points off of turnovers, it was 11. So they got their ass back, played a little bit of defense, and, that wasn't swamping. In game number 2, OKC off of turnovers did what they normally do, and that's what's interesting. I thought you saw in game number 1, the Pacers do what now is normalcy for them, coming from behind, maintaining, showing resilience, and then winning a game late in that fashion. And in game 2, you saw what OKC has been good at the entirety of the season, and that is especially defense, turning the ball over, and then turning that into points on the other end.
Yeah, they're the best in the league at doing it. I thought the Pacers did a really nice job in game 1 of yeah, they turned it over at a historical rate, especially in that first half, but they did a great job with their extra efforts of getting back, trying to cover up the paint, spraying out the three-point shooters, and trying to limit some of that OKC offense. So OKC's offense was not very good in game one. Actually, both teams probably would say they didn't play great offensively. But I think the defenses had something to do with that. And then there's also that human nature component when you look on to game two, knowing that OKC, they haven't lost back-to-back games, much like the Pacers in I don't know how long. So they're already good after they drop a game. You know, it's the finals. They're in their building, so they're going to come out with another level of sense of urgency. The Pacers already got one game, and again, that human nature kicks in. You feel somewhat comfortable, even though you go into that game saying, "Hey, we're going to be greedy," but it didn't look like a greedy team out there in game two. So game three will be extremely interesting, knowing how important it is.
Eddie Gill's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Was this a point of OKC to try to get Holmgren going early in that game? He scored, 9 points, which was more than he scored in the first quarter in game number one. Did you see that as a point that the Thunder were trying to make at the beginning of that game last night?
That guy's a top. I don't know if he was. I can't remember if he was number one or number two pick in his draft. So Jalen Williams has ascended to like the number two guy on that team based on the draft. Chet Holmgren, quote unquote, should be the number two guy. But yes, he was a non-factor in game one. They definitely looked to get him going earlier. I thought they also looked to attack Tyrese Halliburton early on as well. After the first play of the game, they get Case and Wallace going to the basket for a layup, going after Tyrese a little bit there. And but again, Holmgren being a non-factor in game one, they wanted to establish his presence there. So he in his own right was much more intentional and aggressive to score, look for shot opportunities, and also he rebounded it well.
Got to get Miles to find the center too on those threes, and here's why I say that. Yes. At the beginning of games, he's long, and I know that he has that kind of 1, 2, 3 release kind of step process out front, but he's been long, which I think describes the magnitude of the moment, a bit of the nerves, and then when he adjusts, he's been short. So we need to, center, I think, exactly on his three, because that's something that has been lost in the shuffle of these games as well. That threat from distance, because he's just not knocking down those shots at the clip that we're used to seeing.
Well, listen, this is true of all players, and Miles Turner is not exempt. But my observation of him throughout his career, and as you know, I'm a huge fan of him. I love his 10 years that he's had with the Pacers, and I certainly think that he needs to come back to continue on what they're doing. But when he is at his best is when he is not thinking out there.
No, that's so true. That is so true. Yes.
He is catching it and letting it go. There's zero hesitation. He is hunting shots to some degree. He's really decisive in whether he needs to roll all the way to the basket, pin a smaller guy. Does he need to get to his little mid-range game? Does he need to pick and pop all the way out to the three? Like, he is just reading the game and just reacting, and oftentimes he's ahead of it. But you can literally see it sometimes when he's catching it and thinking about it as he's letting that shot go.
Yep.
That's when he struggles sometimes. So I'd love to see him get back to just trusting the work, catching and letting it fly.
See, that's where we need to see, Benedict Mathurin pass along his mentality to Miles going on. I don't really know what's going on here, but I know the basket is right there, and I'm going to throw this ball toward it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I also don't care about the 2 or 3 multiple defenders that are in between me and the basket. I'm going to get there. That's definitely been. But, and Boyle and I talk about this all the time. Give me as many guys as I can get to where they're turned on at all times. I got to try to pipe them down a little bit versus I'm trying to start a guy's motor.
Yeah.
And that's Benedict Mathurin. He's a guy who's full bore at all times, especially when he gets it in transition. He will not be denied getting to the rim.
Yeah. The only thing you can't do if you're him in these situations is you can't sit there and want to debate with the officials, because OKC are going to have numbers going the different direction, and that's going to translate to points. You can't do that.
Oh, there's no question about it. None of them. If you turn it over or you're asking for a foul or you miss a shot or whatever the case may be, while you're trying to hash it out with the official, they're laying it in on the other end.
What do you think about the whistle the Pacers have received so far? I haven't had an issue with it. Have you?
No. I've never subscribed to the blame game of the officials. Yeah, that's just not something that I'm a part of. I think they got an incredibly tough job. It's easier for me to say this now as a former player. As a player, certainly there are certain times where I thought like, oh, we didn't get a great whistle. But being now significantly more objective in terms of just watching the game, evaluating it, I think they got an incredibly tough job. And up to this point here, really throughout the playoffs, I think they've gotten a solid whistle.
If I were to tell you before Game 2 that Caruso and Wiggins would provide, or I should say combine, for 22 shot attempts, how would you think that game would go down? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a great thing if they're alone for them. Now, if they're contested, now I think the Pacers will be really happy with that. Again, the problem is I think you devote so much attention to SGA and also Jalen Williams in transition. You got to put multiple bodies in front of those guys to try to slow them down. And they are decisive with their passes. There's like zero hesitation. They trust each and every teammate that's out there. So if you commit multiple bodies, they kick it to them. And if those guys are alone, and if I'm from a Pacers perspective, I'm not happy that they're alone. If I'm the Thunder perspective, I'm ecstatic about it because they're capable. So I don't get caught up in statistics to some degree, I would say, because it all changes depending on the defense that's being assessed there on those particular positions. But if those guys are alone at the 3-point line, they're gonna make a majority of them. Or if they're getting free runs to the basket, they're gonna probably make all of those.
Yeah. Listen, it is just, you said this, I thought, right in the Game 1 broadcast. We talked about it on Friday. I mean, you can see all the tape and watch all the tape you want, but until you experience what the Thunder do in person on the floor, I mean, it's tough to really at all replicate it, and that's a part of the process that the Pacers are going through right now through these first 2 games too.
Yeah, I think that the adjustment continues, just being able to get accustomed and used to that type of amoeba-like defense. I mean, it's just pressure after pressure. You put the ball on the floor, next thing you know, you got 1 or 2 extra jerseys all over you, and then they do a great job with the multiple efforts. So when you do kick it, their closeouts are great. If you drive a closeout, the next guy is coming to help. But I just think you have to be decisive. You cannot go sideways with them. Halliburton had a couple plays where he had the ball on one side of the floor, dribbled it on the other side of the floor, only to get himself into a crowd and sometimes take a tough shot. So you definitely have to get north and south on them and try to get to the rim. Obviously, get some attempts there as much as you can. Now, having said that, they're one of the best teams. I think if not the best teams in terms of paint points that they give up. That's why I really think it's important that you play early in the clock while they're trying to get matched up when and if you do get stops.
Yeah, did you expect a little bit more? It was certainly offensively in that category from Siakam, and there was never really any consistency, I thought, there last night at all.
No, I don't. So what I think about Siakam is when you get bogged down and you can't get early offense, I think that's the time where you give him the ball with his back to the basket. Now he can read double teams, read cutters. They're out there with 4 guards, so one of those smaller guys is going to be on him oftentimes, or even when there's a switch, he's going to get opportunities down in the post. I think you give him the ball with the back to his basket, and you can play some old school basketball with him. Versus playing this random style of play, which has been so good to the Pacers. The problem is OKC is comfortable guarding all of those random actions. I think there's instances where you can take advantage of Siakam with his back to the basket. Him trying to drive past all those guards out there, yeah, it may happen 1 or 2 different times during the course of the game. He's not going to get a steady diet of driving past those guys and able to finish at the rim. That's just not going to happen. They're too good defensively. So I would say when and if the opportunity presents itself, and even make those opportunities more presentable, again, just sit him down in the post and he can get something good there.
So the expectation is games 3 and 4, the crowd at Cambridge is going to be outrageous. How are the crowds in 1 and 2 in OKC from your estimation?
Incredible. They definitely have an incredible environment. They got those clappers that are going nonstop the entire game. And they start they start going about 15, 20 minutes before the game starts, and obviously you don't get to see that during the telecast. But man, they're up on their feet. They are in their seats probably, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes before the game even starts. And the whole game, they're in it. They are in it. They are in it the entire time. Again, that game was decided probably in the third quarter. There was not a soul who left the building. They were there all 4 quarters. And that's just the environment that they had. It's a collegiate environment in an NBA arena. They're all standing. You don't have to threaten them to put T-shirts on and all that. They come in there and they get right. they come in there and they get right to it. It is, it's arguably the best environment in the entire league. Really, in any capacity. I've been to some professional football games. I've seen those. That they have arguably one of the best environments in all the sports.
That was a good reference about threatening to put one on.
Yeah, it's incredible. You don't have to worry about that.
There was one dude sitting, I think, in the second row behind the basket. He knows who he is. I'd like to call him out by name. I probably should, but he probably put my ass in a sling, or at least tried to right now. But this clown didn't put it on because he was afraid to wrinkle his Ralph Lauren shirt. So.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh boy is exactly right.
Oh boy. Yeah. Well, boy. Again, they don't have that problem. I think
they don't do that.
Yeah.
They
don't have that issue there. I can promise you that.
Yeah, it was either that or maybe he was afraid he was going to mess his hair up when it went over the top of his dome. I don't know. Either one.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was weak. It was really weak. So
I'm with you.
I even put on, like, I hate the whole yes sirs thing, but I'll rock that bad boy. So it doesn't matter. I'll rock it, whatever.
Yeah,
let's do it.
It's part of the environment, man. And to Cambridge, the majority of the fans in there, they come in there and they get to it as well, and they come in there and it's a great environment. But that's part of it. I mean, this window of a championship opportunity, it opens and closes faster than you can believe, and you don't know when either is going to happen.
Yeah, it's been 25 years.
Just come in here and embrace it.
25 years.
Exactly.
I say this. That's why I refuse to be slept-rocked about being even at 1 in the best of 7 in this finals, because we're slept-rocked about everything else. We've basically been that way forever around here. Since Super Bowl 41, certainly with the Colts, but going all the way back to the Pacers to, going back to 2000 in the finals. It does not happen very often. That's why you don't care about the ratings. Who cares about the television ratings? If people want to miss out on a brand of basketball that should excite them, go ahead, because we're probably talking about, the Jerry Springer-esque show watchers of reality TV. So be it. But yeah, I mean, you gotta take that experience so we can get it, because nobody's going to promise you that experience again anytime soon, Eddie.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Again, you referenced 25 years. Some franchises have never sniffed this opportunity, and their fan bases would love it. So you don't think that this just happens, right? The Pacers have done a lot of great work and worked tremendously hard to get to this point in the season. And as a fan and as someone myself, just being involved in it, man, I got nothing but appreciation and gratitude for being a part of it and being able to witness it. And if I was just a common fan, I would have the same approach to it. So, sure, you want the team to play great and play perfect basketball every single night, but that's just not reality.
Yeah, and there's me. I get to do this job. I get to rock some cocktails and beers and then go to the game. What the hell? Why is this? This is awesome. I love it.
Yeah. Sign me up.
I'll look for it coming up Wednesday. By the way, too, I am live at a couple of different places next to Cambridge. I think at the pub on Wednesday, at Pivot, at the Hyatt House on Friday. If you want to slide by on your way down before the broadcast, more than welcome to come by and join the show for a segment or two.
Yeah, happy to.
Yep. All right, buddy. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll do it.
It's Eddie Gill on the Andy Moore Automotive Group line, the Pacers Radio Network. No, I dig it. I love it. I talked to Jake about this. I did a show at Tom's Watch Bar yesterday prior to the start of Game 2. And can you imagine what we're talking about right now without the Pacers in the NBA Finals? Seriously, let's just imagine that for a moment. Now, I know everybody's going to go, well, what about the Fever? Can you imagine what we're talking about? So we're going to be, as of this weekend, 2 weeks clear of the toilet, 3 weeks clear of the 500. I guess, the Indiana All-Stars this weekend. Shout out to Braylon Mullins. I love Braylon Mullins, by the way. And I'm trying to get into this league with his dad where he plays, too, by the way. So you got high school baseball finals. I know I'm going to be down there, but I mean, this is just an injection of sports high-level life this time of year that hasn't happened in 25 years. I don't think I have to try to sell you on this, do I? I guess more so than anything else, I'm trying to explain, if you've got a team that's even now, 1-1, best of 7, has home court until further notice, I think that's feel good. Other side, you and I, man, unfortunately, big news in the world of music and a loss. Sly Stone, James. Sly and the Family Stone. 82 years of age. And the early 70s, Sly and the Family Stone, they were what we'd like to call funk revolutionaries. It was awesome. I love Sly and the Family Stone and War. This great group, Rare Earth, back in the day. Sly Stone was 82. Quick one. We'll come back. Stephen Holder, top of the hour. Stay right there. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Yeah, but they were all bad.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
R.I.P. Sly Stone from Sly and the Family Stone. 82 years of age. He passes away today. Chad writes this. What a musical genius and complex character. Great documentary about Sly put together by Questlove. Yeah, that's awesome. R.I.P. Thank you, Chad. Zach Williams writes this. OKC's defense reminds me of the old Seattle Seahawks Legion of Boom. They've mastered physical D and dared the officials to blow the whistle every single time because something happens every single time. If they did, the Seahawks would deal with the consequences of getting caught every once in a while. But the physical nature of their attack still went on. Same goes for OKC. It's a great strategy, and they get away with it due to the repetition. I absolutely agree with that. 100% agree with that. JMV, did I hear you go until 1 a.m. on the JMV Takeover on Saturday night? Indeed, you did hear that. Thank you very much. We had to do a little 90s slow jam there toward the end, too. I thought that was accurate. Threw a lot of stuff in there. Had to get some, because really it was so busy, I didn't think I was going to get to everybody. So that was a lot of it. Stephen Holder coming up at the top of the hour. The Colts did announce today officially that the three daughters of the late Jim Irsay will take over in ownership. That's Carly Irsay Gordon, Casey Foyt, and Kaylin Jackson serve as co-owners of the team. Irsay Gordon will become the owner and chief executive owner. She'll serve as the team's principal owner, but all three sisters will share leadership duties, that according to the release for the club. Foyt will become the owner and executive vice president. Jackson will become the owner and chief brand officer, as well as the president of the Indianapolis Colts Foundation. That was announced a little bit earlier today. Stephen and I will talk about that. We'll talk a little bit more about maybe an interesting dynamic working here at linebacker with some availability. And, of course, you have mandatory OTAs coming up here this week. Stephen Holder joins us. That is at the top of this hour regarding that. Hey, JMV, I'm right there with you as far as where this series is at 1-1. If you're going to tell me before the start that they would be even after the first two games, I'd be ecstatic. And no doubt about that. And I think a lot of people, you go from last night, and was it disappointing? Yes. But I don't think there's a lot of need to try to judge whether or not being even at 1-1 and you haven't played well. And listen, this team they've shown a couple of things, actually three things. They have shown that resiliency in in-game situations, hanging in especially. They have also shown this, that when they're in the positive, dealing with prosperity is not the best thing that they can do. But number three, the whole game three experience, I know you look at it and you go, this hasn't been good on them. I just think this is a different series. That could pop up any game. What you have to do is you have to protect your home court. People are asking me this, and I would agree. I think these are both 3 and 4 Wednesday and Friday must wins. You do not want to hand home court back to the Thunder. And the other thing you take away from it, you take away from how this Thunder team dealt with a tight game down the stretch. like yesterday, last night, that is, for the most part, what the Thunder have done the entire season. They get out there, defense up and down the floor, turn you over, points off of turnovers, kind of run away and hide. What they did not do in game number 1 is close out a performance. That's something they haven't had a great deal of practice on doing. In a tight situation, closing out. If you're looking for advantages for the Pacers, that is a definite advantage. Game 3 coming up on Wednesday night, 8:30. I'll go until, I guess, 8 o'clock for the pregame show. We're going to be live at the pub downtown with Michelob Ultra to get you set for game number 3. Game number 4 is on Friday. We're going to be at Pivot inside the Hyatt House. And once again, I'm assuming, right, James? So we'll probably go on Friday up until the last word, and then 30 minutes of the last word, and then I'll come back. Is that what we're doing?
That sounds like the plan.
That's dangerous territory right there. What if I'm not there when we come back? What happens?
Well, actually, it won't even be my problem because I'm not even in here on Friday. That'll be Nathaniel.
No, where are you?
I'll be at my sister's wedding.
Is that true, huh?
Yes, sir.
It'll be Nathaniel's problem on Friday. I get it. JMV, you think Tyrese Halliburton was as dinged up as it looked like in that video after the game? Here's how I view it. Even though the late game offensive production from him was really meaningless in terms of, a win-loss, the game was not going to hang in the balance. I mean, he was out there. He was scoring. We'll see, I guess. I mean, you never really know. But I will say this. Anybody that's ever played basketball, is this true? Yeah, maybe I'm just showing my age on this. But if I were to play basketball at any level, certainly, but certainly at that level, when you get down and you sit up on a table, I think a lot of basketball players walk that way when they get out, don't they? I mean, I know everybody's kind of talking about a limp. Everybody kind of walk that way? Is it like a basketball player walk? So you get up there and you got to sit at this table and then walk down after you play. I just thought that maybe in the latter portions of the game, he would have shown a little bit more, some more signs of that. Somebody had asked, is that the reason why he got off to such a slow start? I don't think that's a reason why he got off to a slow start at all. I think he got off to a slow start. It was a combination, but the slow start certainly had a great deal to do with the defense that was being played against him. All right, quick break. We'll come back. If you're on hold, stay there. If you're not, you get there. Top of the hour, Stephen Holder. We got a lot to talk about with Stephen, and more of the show until 6 o'clock tonight. We're going to have a busy week, so you guys go ahead and get ready for that as well. Wednesday and Friday on the road. I'll explain on the other side. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
course. The Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch. Right. 1, 2, 5. Lisa, 3.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
So, tickets to Game 4, JMV. Driving from Greensboro, North Carolina after Game 3. We'll be in Indy early Thursday morning. Looking forward to spending a few days soaking in all the NBA Finals atmosphere in Indy. Zach, well done, man. See, I don't want to bring this up. This is what it's called. I've never really referenced it as this. But when I was describing Tyrese Halliburton getting up off of behind that table at the postgame presser last night with the limp, and that's just kind of how basketball dudes after playing a game will walk. I didn't reference it in this fashion. There is a term for it. You guys know what that is? Sure, James doesn't know what that is, the term. It is called loser's limp. It's been happening after you get your ass beat since the beginning of time. That is from Greg, and that is 100% accurate. The loser's limp. And we've all done it. If you've ever played anything before, you've had a loser's limp. And then especially if you played at that level and had to go sit behind a little table and yip-yap to a bunch of nerds, you absolutely will have it. So I don't know if it's much more than that. Jason Ellis chimes in. That was the tired and stiff walk after 4+ miles of run, sprint, jump in a basketball game. So the video dorks don't have this right? Well, I don't know. Maybe he's injured. It is funny. The break about it is so funny. You spend all this time being critical about teams. They make it to the finals, and you win one of the first two on the road against a highly favored opposition, and we got to schlep rocket up today? Yeah. Listen, you can be real and critical about game 2, but feeling bad about getting one of the first two is not something I'm going to do. I don't know why you'd want to. But some do. Well, I just look at it, and they're 0.3 led. Well, I mean, it was a very important 0.3 that they led. Both of these games, as I tell you, both of these games have gone in the fashion in which we know both of these teams now. With Oklahoma City, it is a stifling defense and points off of turnovers. With the Pacers, they get a win because you just hang around and you hang. I gave you the Rounders reference. And then you might get a little tight-butted if you're OKC because it's a rarity that team has been in that situation. So this has kind of gone the way that it's supposed to. Or you would think. With the edges that we talked, I mean, hell, we talked about the late game edge, if there was any edge the Pacers would have. And hell, they did that in game number 1. And we've talked about the stifling, the stranglehold defensively. And what the Thunder can do, especially in creating points off of turnovers. So, what is there to feel bad about? Why are you feeling bad today? Anybody want to? You're 1-1. You get the next 2 with home court in your building. I mentioned this. If they don't look good in game number 3, then we'll rip that. There is no reason to rip right now. That is just a thought. So Good Morning America is going to be here this week. I didn't think anybody else cared about this series, but like ESPN and itself, sometimes I don't even think they care. There's something else, just complete. Like the whole Halliburton thing, what do they call it? Low-hanging fruit. What do the dorks call it? Low-hanging fruit or something like that, right? It's low-hanging fruit for them. And now you got to get back to the debate. They've been all over the ice on the whole debate whether or not he is a superstar caliber player. After game one, he's a superstar. After game two, he's not. It is pretty damn funny, it is. I'm a rite of passage. Yeah, 2 locations for us coming up on Wednesday and then again on Friday. We're at the pub downtown coming up on Wednesday before game number 3. I'll be on until like 8 o'clock or so. And then on Friday from Pivot in the Hyatt House downtown, we'll be doing that bad boy. Same time, about 5 hours worth of show, although I think I step aside for about 30 minutes of the last word. Speaking of which, the latest on the Colts, a couple of different angles on this. The transitional ownership was officially announced today with the late Jim Irsay and his daughters. And maybe a future linebacker with Anarumo connections. We'll talk about that with Stephen Holder and some more about the NBA Finals coming up on the other side. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Boomba. Describe the sound made when a sheep explodes.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Eddie Gill a little bit earlier. Podcast 1075thefan.com. Thank you for joining us. James over there. I'm John right here. Monday, Game 2 loss reaction from you Pacer fans. And this has been talked about. I brought this up a little bit earlier. The Pacers 32-4 this season. But Tyrese Halliburton puts up at least 20. Now, on the other side of that, this goes to show you how significant getting to that number is for this team. 27-27 when he's held below 20. So that's why when we talk all the time about, man, getting above that threshold while also making sure you do what you normally do with your teammates and getting them involved, so key. Pacers even with OKC. The next two, games 3 and 4, Gainbridge Fieldhouse. And you heard Rick Carlisle talking about this after the game last night. Oh, the expectation is for you guys to blow the roof off of it. In sound, ears ringing type of stuff here. Like Lamb of God stuff. All right. Meantime, Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline from ESPN and ESPN.com. Stephen Holder joins us now. Good afternoon, Stephen. How are you?
Doing great. Excuse me. Doing great. How are you today?
So, if I were to tell you, this sounds like an ESPN promo here, but if I were to tell you,
yeah. What if I told you?
Yeah, what if I told you the
30
Pacers,
for 30 coming up.
The Pacers and the Thunder would be even at a game apiece through the first two games at the beginning of this series before it actually officially got underway? How would you feel about that?
Oh, monumental win. I mean, you would take it. You would take it and run if you were the Pacers and someone offered you that, because this was a bad matchup. It is a bad matchup, just in terms of styles and what they're facing in Oklahoma City. So I think that's the best way of looking at this after last night, which was ugly. It was really ugly. I think that's the best way of looking at it, is that, look, they got probably the best possible outcome here.
Yeah.
Okay, they weren't coming home up 2-0. Like, what are we talking about, right? I mean, let's be honest. Like, who was even anticipating that, right? So 1-1 coming home where they're really good. You just talked about the crowd. I think that's a great place to be. And I will say this for that crowd. My son got tickets for the watch party at the field house last night. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that, but it's all right. I'll go. And so I roll up there and I'm like, wait a minute. There's nowhere to sit. The place was packed. I mean, to the freaking rafters. So people are primed, man, and they're ready. And they just want a reason to cheer. So if the Pacers give it to them, that place is going crazy tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Or Wednesday night. I guarantee it.
Well, I mean, just as much as the fans out there want to see the Pacers surpass what the Thunder did in Game 2, you want to see the fans surpass what the fan base did in Oklahoma City in these first two games right there. I mean, it's certainly going to be a part of many keys in this matchup going into. To me, it's must win, and I'm always must win. But games 3 and 4, got to have them here, Steven. At home, you got to have them.
It gets tough when you're playing from behind, against a good team. So if you get behind in the series, and then I just don't like their odds of recovering from that, because this is a team that gets you out of character. They put pressure on you. They make you panic. And I thought at times on Sunday night, you saw a little bit of that from the Pacers. This is not a team that we usually see lose their wits, and I thought they did kind of lose themselves a few times there. And that crowd, as you mentioned, it probably got to them. I mean, there's a lot going on there. The stakes are huge. They didn't look like themselves, and they lost their composure. At times, frankly, in games 1 and 2 at times, they just completely lost their composure. And that is what Oklahoma City does to you. So now, if you then couple that with playing from behind in the series, if it comes to that, no, you don't want to be there. You do not want to be in that position.
Nah. So you're going to agree with me. You're going to must win this thing up Wednesday and Friday, just like me, right? Same page?
I mean, it would definitely help a lot. Let's put it that way. It would be definitely advantageous. Let's say that. I would say this. I think Wednesday is huge. Wednesday is huge for them because that puts them in a position of strength. And I'm not saying you can let up if you win another game, but again, I don't want to see them playing from behind in the series, like down 2-1. I don't think that's going to end well for the Pacers.
No, completely
I think
agree.
Wednesday is the big one for me.
Yeah, completely agree. I will also tell you this. I thought the first two really combined two efforts from both teams that we have grown accustomed to seeing. Pacers in game one, the resilience, being able to hang around and getting it done late. And then OKC in game number two, the chokehold of a defense, scoring off of turnovers, and then kind of running away and hiding, which is what they have done. That's their calling card the entire year. So really both of these games, I think, have been on both sides here exactly what we have witnessed over the past couple of weeks, especially for Oklahoma City, probably more so the entirety of the season.
Yeah, I would say no surprises, frankly. You're right. And, one of the things that I think was solidified by Oklahoma City is it's just so hard to stay true to your offensive personality against that team. Like that offense we saw Sunday night. I mean, did that look like the Pacers to you? I didn't recognize who they were offensively, and that is what Oklahoma City does to you. I mean, sometimes, your instinct is to say, oh, they played really poorly, and they didn't play great for sure. They played terrible, but the bottom line is Oklahoma City does that to you. I mean, that's what their defense does to you. They make you look dysfunctional and out of sorts, and like you've never played together before, right? The ball wasn't moving. Every shot was hard. That was what was so remarkable about it. It's actually pretty fascinating to watch. If you weren't a fan of either team, you could just watch it, without your heart in the game and say to yourself, I would imagine, man, they are really just taking this team completely out of the game offensively. And you have to respect that of Oklahoma City. They really, really do that.
Yeah, apparently if you're not a fan of either one of these two teams, you're a numbnuts and only care when some superstar caliber player's playing and you're watching something else, right? Evidently.
Listen, apparently, yeah. Well, listen, I'm here to say, look, I understand that why all of this is being said. I don't agree, but I will say this. I sort of tiptoed into this on Twitter, and I started a firestorm. But what I said is this: nationally, and frankly, just around the country, most people aren't really tuned in to the fine print when it comes to sports. Like they're not fans that listen to your show and read my articles for the most part. They're passive fans. The game's on, they watch the game. They don't really dig into the nitty gritty, and they don't really appreciate the game for the game sometimes, And I think that's what happens when we say people want to see stars. It's because they don't really know the game and know all the players.
They're dorks. I've said that the entire time.
Yeah,
they're dorks.
It's a reflection of them. It's a reflection of them. It's like well, you don't love ball then, and that's okay. It's allowed, but like you don't love ball. Let's just call it what it is. That's okay, but like, don't say the series sucks because you don't love ball. So I recognize that though, right? Like, and you do too, as someone in media. Like, I know, I work at ESPN, man, right? So I appreciate this, believe me, okay? There's a reason we don't write a lot of stories about the offensive line, okay? Because ain't nobody reading that. As much as I love those guys, and I respect what they do, I wish you luck. I'm not writing about you because it is what it is. We're running a business, okay? And it sucks, right? It does suck, but there is an element of that. So anyway, I think we're having there's 3 or 4 different sub-conversations.
No, the lover of hoop is what you're talking about here. And also, I'll say this.
I love it.
How about the lover of sports? I spent 5+ hours yesterday watching an Italian dude and a Spanish dude play on clay, and I had no idea really who either one. I knew the Spanish dude a little bit. I had no idea who this center guy was, and it was compelling sport. You know what? Sometimes I think that should be enough. You don't have to have all this other soap opera bull crap, I think, to go alongside it.
I appreciate that statement. I think that's absolutely true. I think that's a great example, right? Like you didn't know who you were watching.
Had no idea.
You appreciate competition. You appreciate competition. It's like me. I watch the World Cup when it comes on. Look, I'm not a soccer fan. I appreciate soccer. I respect soccer, but I don't follow soccer. But like when there's a big event and the stakes are huge, I was glued to the World Cup championship, right? Because you understand, like, this is a great game and it means everything. It's the biggest sporting event in the world outside of the Olympics. It's like if that don't get you in front of the TV, then what the hell is going to make you pay attention, man? You know? So I agree with you. It's like it's the finals of the NBA, the best basketball league in the world. If you don't want to watch that, regardless of who's playing, well then I don't know. Maybe this ain't for you.
Before we make now the transition to the Colts, Stephen Holder's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Sly Stone from Sly and the Family Stone passed away. He's a funk pioneer today at the age of 82. I wonder where his wardrobe was going. He maybe had the greatest wardrobe of all time. I wonder if I could rock just a little bit of that wardrobe from Sly Stone. That is some badass gear right there.
Well, it should be going in a museum somewhere, right?
Yeah.
You know, like, so I went to Paisley Park up in Minneapolis, Prince's house / recording studio. I don't know. And I don't know if you've ever been there, but when you go in there, there's an entire room. This sounds like a Jake Query segment, but anyway, there's an entire room in the building dedicated just to his shoes. Okay. And the room's like probably the size of the first floor of my house. And it's only the shoes and they're all displayed in there. It's unbelievable. And each one was like specifically made for him. So I say all that to say, like, this is probably at that level, right? Wouldn't you say? The wardrobe, from a wardrobe perspective?
It is incredibly impressive. These zip down jumpsuits, right, with sparkles on them. I need to be. I need to be rocking that, like right here and right now. I don't know. I don't already have that. It's funny. It was Jalen Travis who was the fourth round selection out of Iowa State. I think Princeton, right before Iowa State, was on this show. And his parents actually went to high school with Prince because I'd ask him. He's from Minneapolis, and I'd ask him, and he said, yeah. And we got in depth on Prince, and we should mention that because Prince passed away, but he celebrated. We celebrated his birthday over the weekend, and he talked about the connection his parents had with Prince in Minneapolis back in the day.
Well, Jalen Travis, I didn't know that about him, but he's even more interesting now that you tell me that because this guy's already got a lot going on. He was a Senate intern, Ivy League degree. Like, this guy is the real deal. So I love that pick just because the kid is so damn interesting.
Yeah, so I told him it doesn't take much to be smarter than the host of this show, but he was that. But that was a great story regarding his family. And Prince, all right, the transition in ownership today is something we knew with the three late Jim Irsay daughters that was going to take place, and today was the day they solidified that, much in the fashion, I think, Stephen, as we all kind of expected, right?
Yeah, and some late news as we were coming back from the break here. They are actually going to talk to us tomorrow afternoon, the three sisters.
Okay.
They're going to talk to the media. So that has been long awaited. I was told it would happen at some point, and obviously we were never going to pressure them given the passing of their father. So, whenever they were ready, it was fine. So I appreciate that a week later they are going to meet with us. So that'll happen tomorrow afternoon. In fact, probably not long after you come on the air tomorrow.
Wow,
so
nice.
I will be eagerly awaiting that press conference just because I think there's so much we don't know. We know of them, but we don't know them, right? And there's a difference. We knew their dad. We knew how he thought. We knew what made him tick. We knew kind of Jim Irsay's instincts, right? We don't know any of those things about his daughters. So this is a new day. It really, really is a new day. And I don't think it's necessarily for the worse. I do think, I tweeted this a while ago, and I'm just rambling here, but just bear with me. I think one of the ways it will be different is that they're going to be around. Carly Ursay is in that building every stinking day. And I think that matters. When you're there, you understand the details of what is going on. You see the nuances. You get a flavor of what's happening rather than just hearing from Chris Ballard and talking to Shane Steichen on the phone and being relayed messages from other people. It is different when you're there. And Carly Ursay and Kaylin, to a great degree, Kaylin Jackson, her youngest sister, is also very present. They have personal relationships with everybody in that building. And I think being hands-on is going to be good. Because Jim Irsay, I love me some Jim Irsay. And I respect the hell out of the man. He was great. And he helped me do my job, which I love. So he's always going to be good in my book. That being said, it's true that he was not present the last few years. He just was not. And some of that was his health and just, he was getting older and living his life, right? But he was not around, and I do think that can be a complicating factor.
So Stephen Holder, ESPN, ESPN.com, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. We always like to connect the dots with former relationships, and Lou Anarumo is the first-year defensive coordinator of the Colts, former Bengals DC, Jermaine Pratt, linebacker. I don't know if it's been official, but I know earlier this afternoon it was along the lines of he was going to get cut, so let's assume it's been made official now. Is that a target you think ultimately, especially in an area with the Colts defensively, that they're dealing with some guys coming back from injuries and procedures and really a lack of depth in general in the first place? Is this the direction you see them going?
I think you have to at least kick the tires, don't you? I just wonder if they're really, truly comfortable with what they have currently at linebacker. I know they say they are, but I don't know, man. Like, part of me doesn't truly buy that. We'll see. Okay, I don't know how Lou Anarumo thinks. Okay, I don't know the man well enough yet, but I just feel like there's always been the last few years. There's often been like a position or two where they just didn't do enough and they left themselves vulnerable, right? And a couple times it's been the offensive line. At other times it was, I thought last year, the secondary, for example, right? There's just been a lot of instances like that. And it is guaranteed to come back and bite you, right? And I just hope that linebacker isn't that position this year. So I don't know that answer, and I don't know what to make of what they have, but it's certainly a very inexperienced group outside of Zaire Franklin. So to your question about Pratt, I think you got to at least have a conversation about it and then maybe kick the tires. But I don't know. I think being comfortable with what they have is living a little dangerously.
Speaking of which, the quarterback position, I don't think we have talked since the whole re-aggravation AC joint situation occurred last week that Shane Steichen announced to you guys out on West 56th Street. Listen, normally I would say, I don't know where to begin, but I think we do. So there was a tremendous reason as to why they bring in Daniel Jones. I don't know how much comfortable and secure that makes anybody feel still, but if you're a betting dude right now, there's zero way it's not Daniel Jones in week number one, the way this bad boy's going, correct?
100%. Look, I'm one of the most open-minded people you'll find about Anthony Richardson, because I just think his talent is so immense that if he ever figures it out, you're going to have a hell of a quarterback, right? I know a lot of ifs in there, right? That being said, I have always and consistently said, for me, the biggest question was not his performance, because that can change. You can improve as a player. The biggest question for me was health, because if he doesn't answer the health question, the rest of it doesn't even matter. And that is why, in my opinion, that has been the chief issue. Well, all this does is just sort of solidify the narrative that he can't stay healthy. Now, I want to be clear. This is not a really serious thing as far as we know. If it changes, I will revise that statement. But as far as I know, and from everything I've heard publicly and privately, it's not a really serious thing. They think rest will address this. So maybe this is a one-off. Maybe he doesn't have this problem again. Okay, we'll see. But even so, think about it. This is 2 full weeks where Daniel Jones is getting all the starting reps with the number one offense. Okay, here's a guy who comes from the outside. That puts you at a disadvantage. He's the new guy. Well, he's making up for lost time now, while the other guy's sitting over there with a clipboard, Anthony Richardson. So this is, I think, very detrimental to Anthony Richardson because he's going to come back for training camp. Daniel Jones is taking the first rep in training camp. Okay, unless something significantly changes here, it looks like that's where this is trending because the plan is they're going to sort of work him back slowly so that this doesn't happen again. Well, if they do that, then, I mean, he's not the guy coming out of the gate, right? Don't you have to assume it's Daniel Jones? So, yes, I agree, 100%. Right now, Daniel Jones is in the driver's seat, man. It is very, very, very early. But as we sit here today, for whatever that is worth, I think Daniel Jones is in the driver's seat.
All right. With what we know about Richardson, with what we know about Jones, let's consider this for a moment. Now, it's never going to be a good thing considering how much you put into the 4th overall selection when you picked Anthony Richardson. However, in terms of the team moving forward this season, instead of jacking around and splitting these and splitting with some, I know you're open-minded. I'm not very open-minded on this. I'm a non-believer in Daniel Jones as well, but is it not better to let one of these dudes at least have at it for the start of the season right here instead of splitting it up and trying to evaluate something, giving one guy all of them or at least the lion's share? Can that not be viewed as a positive in some form or fashion?
So in other words, not jacking
around with split reps and just having one guy that you think, well, this is probably going to be the guy because of now the present Richardson situation. So maybe you can look at that as a good thing, knowing what we know.
It's always better. It's always better to have to have. Let me put it this way: it's always better to know who your quarterback is. Okay, that's never a bad thing. But you want it to be because somebody's just clearly better than the other guy, right? And here, that may or may not be true. But I get what you're saying, right? I mean, there is something to be said for the continuity and for the just the getting to know your teammates and getting in sync. There is something to be said for that. If one of these guys had all of the starting reps from now until opening day, they would perform better, right? It stands to reason that would help them perform better. So in that regard, I don't disagree. Yeah, I think the question is, do you have the right guy starting, and whether that question's been answered. But I mean, it doesn't matter if Anthony Richardson's not out there.
Well, the reorganization and ownership, the quarterback situation, all that notwithstanding, mandatory minicamp begins tomorrow. So the 10th, 11th, and 12th for the Colts. Those are already some significant storylines. What else in closing here, Stephen, are we thinking about rolling into this bad boy?
Well, I mean, I think we want to see – I just want to see the offense look competent. I think the other thing is we'll get a long look at for example, Charvarius Ward is back. He had been kind of in and out last few weeks, so he should be out there this week. We'll get a look at him. Tyler Warren has looked the part, so I want to continue to see if he continues to ascend. They got big plans for that young man. I know I've said that before, but it's been impressed upon me even more. They have major plans for this young man, and I do think that Daniel Jones and Tyler Warren is a good potential combination, because the one thing Daniel Jones will do is distribute the ball. Look, he might not be on your SportsCenter top 10 very often. Okay, that ain't him, but he knows where to go with the ball and knows how to distribute it and get it to other guys to make plays. So if he can do that with the playmakers that he has a chance to succeed. I mean, look, I think the idea here is not that they could be a good offense because Daniel Jones is so good. I think it's more that they have good playmakers, and Daniel Jones could potentially enable them to make plays, right? There's a difference between saying the quarterback's your playmaker versus the other guys are the playmakers, and he can get it to them. That's the scenario here. If he can do that, they got a shot. Then you have Richardson, who clearly is a playmaker, but doesn't make enough plays and makes some negative plays too. So I don't know. Pick your poison, man.
Picking it. The poison. That's why. That's another reason why, by the way, all this stuff
Don't you feel optimistic?
with the Colts stuff, it's the reason why I want fans of the Pacers and just local fans in general to embrace what's going on and not be so sleprock about being even or about last night's game. Because look what they have gone through over the years. My goodness, you should be celebrating, drinking alongside me, with me, before me, after me, all of that stuff right now with the Pacers are accomplishing.
Don't you miss this level of excitement around the Colts?
Oh, my goodness. I mean? Are you kidding me?
What you're seeing with the Pacers?
Yeah. I know some advertisers that miss the return on investment that goes along with that as well. So, yeah, absolutely. Sure. There's a lot that falls into the category of a team that has been mediocre or below now for the better part of 10-plus years.
Yeah, and I just think the community is definitely thirsting for that. And
yes.
It's just a reminder of just, what it feels like or what it could feel like. That's one of the things I've taken away from this Pacers run. It's like, man, if the Colts ever got it going, if they ever got back to where they were, there's a vibe in the city, man. You're downtown over the weekend, and I can't imagine this coming week what it's going to feel like. There's a pulse, right? And that's what it's like, man, when a team brings everybody together and they got a chance to do something special. And the Colts have not created that feeling for so long. And I think the community is thirsting for it. So it would be nice. And that has been my takeaway from all of this.
He's got you handled that tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. Mandatory mini camp. And then obviously we'll discuss more on the Pacers and the NBA Finals. Multifaceted, multidimensional friend of the show, Stephen Holder of ESPN and ESPN.com on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Have a fantastic week. And if you get a minute and you want to come down and have a drink, a celebratory drink before Games 3 or Game 4, let me know. We're live, local, late breaking downtown next to the Fieldhouse.
Oh, I got you. All right.
Take it easy, buddy. I appreciate you.
All right, brother.
Stephen Holder on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Let us take a break. Let us end with you. Who's up for it? 2-3. No, look, I see now. We've got multi-people up for it. Sam, Jerome. Is that Jerome wants to invite me to play some hoop? Awesome. I was kicking ass and taking names yesterday morning. You guys all know that, too. Jay, even sick. And after 3 hours of sleep. I think, honestly, my voice is better now than it was at the beginning, isn't it?
It sounds a little bit stronger, yeah.
Stronger. Like Chicago once said, I'm feeling stronger every day.
There you go.
Jay, Bill, Jay, and more. Well, you guys coming up before the top of the hour. Sit tight right there. The stream, the app, HD Radio, AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Ride with JMV.
Talk about your Psalms. Talk about John 3:16. Austin 3:16 says, I just whipped your ass.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
JMV, I'm a longtime fan back to the ABA days. I currently reside in Charleston, South Carolina. Spent a buttload of money for air and game tickets for me and my son, who lives in Virginia, to attend the game. Are we talking about game 3 or 4 here, brother? I look at the money as a memory making for me and my son, and hopefully a Pacers win. One of the gatherings, okay, Friday is what you're saying here. I got you, Jeff. Friday downtown. This is the only gathering that you and your son, we would love to have you, Jeff. Inside the Hyatt House. Pivot is the balcony bar. It is incredible. And that's where we're going to be prior to game 4 coming up on Friday. And know this to be true, that I am going to be going. I know this to be true. On game 4 Friday, I am going with our good friend Tommy S., Tom Sutton. I don't know about game 3 just yet, but game 4 I am going. So that is on Friday at Pivot at Hyatt House with Mick Ultra. So you and your son come and join us. I listen to your show each day via iHeartRadio. Love the show. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, everybody that listens, and no matter the means in which you do take the show in, tip of the cap, I appreciate it. Thanks for putting up with my ass. Hey, by the way, too, Damien, Tom's Watch Bar yesterday was outstanding, outstandingly packed. Shout out to Jake Query, who joined me, Eddie Garrison, who ran things yesterday. Jeremiah Johnson joined me from OKC last night. Kristen Neri hosted the watch party at what was a packed Cambridge Fieldhouse. It was really fun stuff. Eric Graves of Fox 59. Kind of looks like a pocket Uwe Blop. Or no, actually, here's who Eric Graves. Look up Eric Graves right here. Eric Graves looks like Rick Astley. I felt like I was getting Rick-rolled sitting next to Eric Graves yesterday. Can you Rick-roll everybody coming back in here in honor of Eric Graves of Fox 59 and CBS 4? I was going to reference him as Pocket Blop, but I think I like Rick Astley instead. 239-1070 is that number. Jerome is on line 2. Start us off here, Jerome. How are you?
Good, my friend. I wish people would curb the enthusiasm a little bit. We know that we weren't going to get 2 games in OKC. It's a foregone conclusion. We're going to blow them out Wednesday. The concern is game 4 is our game 7. We need to understand that we only want to go back to OKC one more time. We can't beat them in the game 7 there. I think they got the first scare out of them. I think we're going to blow them out on Wednesday, but game 4 here is game 7.
One more time. I dig that. I like that mentality.
Seriously, because you can beat them here. We're going to blow them out tomorrow. That's not even on Wednesday night. The game 7 is going to be Friday because you're going to go back 3-1, and they're going to tighten up in game 5. Hopefully, you can get a win there, but we might poop the bed, but we're not going to play more than 6 games in the series if we win a championship. Rick has had a team like this before. Anytime Rick has been up against odds insurmountable, he went against LeBron James, Wade, and Bosh in their prime with Dirk and them and beat them. And if you look at our team, we have some similarities. We got a little pesky guy like J.J. Barrera, which is T.J. McConnell. We have a poor man's Dirk and Pascal Siakam. We got a poor man's Jason Kidd and Halliburton. We got a knucklehead, Mathurin, Deshaun Stevenson, and we got an athletic freak like Sean Marion and Obi Toppin. All I need is for Miles Turner to put on his big boy pants and give me 8 rebounds a game. Give me 8. Just give me 8.
Give me 8. Hey, by the way, am I playing hoop with you? You got me located somewhere?
Yeah, I'm going to get you the location to play with us, man. We heard about your reputation. They tell me you're a YMCA lottery pick.
Dude, I'm bringing it, brother. I am bringing it. And I've got all the energy. And even sick, I'm bringing it, too. Is this where Josh Mullins plays?
Yes, Josh Mullins is a friend of mine. Yes, good guy.
Good. Well, I can't wait. I cannot wait. You let me know when I'm there. You know that.
Okay, hey, make sure that you break out your Converse, your high top Chuck Taylors, or your Wilson Betas.
You know what I wear, Jerome? Seriously, I guess we all have to wear low top now. No wonder we all have, like, Achilles injuries, right? I wear neon green Giannis shoes.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't really know why. I don't know why either. I just do.
But this is what I like about you, JMV. You're keeping it real.
I'm keeping it
real. The thing
real.
I hate, you're going to laugh at this. Remember when Steph Curry got hot? You had guys that couldn't shoot a layup. You had guys running around here with shooting sleeves on. Guys couldn't hit layups. Everybody had a shooting sleeve.
Yes, exactly. Everybody had a shooter sleeve. All right, Jerome, let me know. I'll be there.
All right, got you, brother. Have a good one.
You got it. Jerome's there. Sam is at 239-1070 right now. Sam, hello.
Hey, JMV, can you hear me?
I got you, Sam. Go ahead.
Hey, the thing I keep hearing that people aren't talking about much is the fact that I think this might have been the first Pacers game this playoffs where our bench was outscored by the other team. And if you look at it, you had Caruso and Aaron Wiggins combined for 9 of their 14 threes. I just don't see that happening in Indy when they come back.
My brother, they had 38 off the pine between the two. That cannot happen. Can't happen.
And then I just don't see the Pacers shooting that bad either from the floor when they come home. So it's balls to the wall on Wednesday and Friday.
Balls to the wall. I would agree with that too. So I must win this up Wednesday and Friday. You buy that too?
Oh, I mean, Wednesday is more in my opinion, but I definitely think both. Yes, sir. Because I mean, I've been saying if the Pacers want to win, it's got to be in 6.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Sam. I appreciate that. Thanks for the call.
Yes, sir. Go Sirs.
Yeah, I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Alex Caruso had 20. Aaron Wiggins 18. Both off the bench. My goodness, do not want to see that. And these guys, and this is what drives you nuts. These guys were stepping in to open 3 looks, which essentially in the NBA, those are layups. Stepping into it. I mean, you know what you're going to get from Gilgeous-Alexander. He's going to give you 30-plus. I think Rick Carlisle referenced that after the game. You know, once the game starts, he's going to give you 30-plus. You got to make him work for it. But you can't allow 38 off the bench from those two dudes. Really anybody but those two guys. Come on now. Their starting backcourt, and this is where their starting backcourt didn't even scratch double figures. Dort and Wallace combined for 7, yet you get 38 from Caruso and Wiggins. And also, this is what, as I mentioned, Oklahoma City does. What they did in Game 2, that's what they've done the entire season. They choke you out defensively, turn you over, and then transitionally turn that into easy points. And then before you realize it, you're buried underneath the 35-9 run between 2 quarters. That's been their MO the entire season. And much like what we've seen in the postseason from the Pacers is how in game number 1, they hung around and then closed the deal. The latest possible opportunity to close it on Thursday night in OKC. So really what we've witnessed is, I think, essentially what both of these teams are so far. Holding home court serve has to happen. Jace on line 5 up next. Hello, Jay.
Hey, John. How's everything going today?
Jay, I couldn't be better. Jay on the north side here, buddy. What's up?
Great. I thought of this last night in the late third quarter of the Pacer game.
Yeah.
Who is thinner? These guys are all toothpicks. Lewis Orr of the Pacers from the early 80s.
Okay.
Chet Holmgren. JJ from Good Times. Or Manute Bol.
That's a hell of a comparison right there. I always thought that Jimmy Walker was the thinnest of all human beings. Whenever you can see every bone in his body when he went into his dynamite routine on Good Times back in the day.
I think if Cathedral would ever have a home football field, they could start with Chet Holmgren as the goalpost.
He is. Yeah, I kind of wonder how that is. Is he ever going to be able to navigate through injuries, being that thin? Seems like that would be tough. I would go with. Can I go with Jimmy Walker right here? J.J. Evans,
that's who
because
I'd
I
go
think
with.
he could hula hoop through a Cheerio, probably, couldn't he? Jimmy Walker. Imagine. That's how thin he was. I love those shows. Right up until the late great John Amos was written out of the show. Love good times, and I love Thelma. I had a big crush on Thelma, Jay, back in the day.
And also, John, that 3-point bank shot that Miles Turner made in Game 1.
Yes.
That reminded me of Herb Williams. He could spank in a shot from 15 to 18 feet over Roy Henson of the Cavs, and he was automatic all day.
Did he mean to do it back then? Because I don't think 33 meant to do it the other night. So, but that's good. Who cares?
To do it. Herb Williams was very skilled back in the day.
Jay, thank you for the call right there. I don't think 33 meant to do it, but, man, there's no argument for me. If it goes in, you meant to do it, by God. Let me tell you that. If you've ever played basketball, if it goes in, yeah, I meant to do that. Bill, close out the show, and you at 239-1070. We'll get you set as PJ Carlissimo on the show tomorrow. NBA radio on ESPN radio nationally. The former coach, PJ Carlissimo, is on the show coming up tomorrow. Don't go anywhere. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
I am the cream, yeah. The cream of the crop. And there is no one that does it better.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
This one is for Fox 59 and CBS 4 reporter Eric Graves, who was on the show with me yesterday at Times Watch Bar downtown, because he looks incredibly like Rick Astley. So I thought I'd rickroll you in the process. JMV, I was listening to the JMV Takeover on Saturday night. I love the way you put all those Pacer highlights in. By the way, shout out to Nathaniel Finch, who did put those together. I did Nothing But the 90s with all Pacer highlights in between two and a lot of Boom Babies. It was pretty awesome. Really was. And hopefully we're feeling good about it and roll a lot of it coming up again on Saturday night, where I believe we go back to the 1980s this Saturday. Did you see that picture of Eric Graves? Do you think he looks like Rick Astley? He does, doesn't he?
It's a little bit wild.
It is weird. Rick Astley. Bill's at 239-1070. Bill, close out the show with us. How are you?
JMV, I tell you, the one thing that really has to happen on Wednesday is the Pacers, and I think they probably realize this because they're getting slapped in the face in Game 2. You got to come out with a sense of urgency.
Yes, you do. Yes.
The time of just depending on making the big comeback because you've done it so many times. Well, that bucket is empty. It's just not going to happen anymore.
And it's going to be how you have to deal with OKC's defense, because they've had a lot to do with it. Don't get me wrong. But yes, I mean, you got to put pressure on them, just like they put defensive pressure on you. Completely agree.
They certainly do, and the fact that the cold fact is that if the Pacers get down by 15 in Game 3 and in the Fieldhouse, you're going to have a lot of puckering going on. There's going to be a lot of nervousness there. So they just have to get out fast, and not rely on being able to make the big comeback. And as far as the Colts go, I just wanted to say the Anthony Richardson story we've seen before. It's the same story with Jonathan Bender. Great talent, great upside. Everybody marvels at what he can do, but Jonathan Bender just couldn't keep on the court. He just couldn't. He was always injury prone. And the same thing is with Richardson. The quarterback that we're going to be talking about this fall for the Colts is rookie Riley Leonard out of Notre Dame.
You think so, do you?
I really do. I think this guy, number one, spent 5 years in college between Duke and Notre Dame, played in big games, and from what I understand, he really hasn't been performing that badly in the pre-training camp type stuff. So if Richardson can't go, then somebody else will take a flyer on him. I mean, when Bender left the Pacers and they did all they could do and they had all the patience in him, he still went to 4 different teams. So somebody else is going to be some GM somewhere or some coach is going to look at Anthony Richardson and say, I can fix him. But you better have a degree in orthopedics, because only a doctor can fix Anthony Richardson. It's time for the era of Riley Leonard from Notre Dame. He's going to be the guy.
I will say this. I think you can make a significant argument is, all right, so you know that he's not going to be back until training camp. And, once training camp starts, the number 1 reps will go to Daniel Jones. I mean, this whole split time factor between these two guys, I think, was going to go nowhere fast anyway. So at least as of right now, you're going to put it in the hands of one dude in preparation here, even if we're not altogether much of a believer in that dude in general, I guess. Bill, anything else before I roll here?
That's about it, man. I'll see you this week.
You got it. Twice, as Bill mentions. The pub downtown before Game 3 coming up on Wednesday with Michelob Ultra. Pivot Hyatt House Friday before game number 4, also with Michelob Ultra. My thanks to Stephen Holder, ESPN, ESPN.com. Eddie Gill, former NBA guard, Pacers Radio. Podcast with each, 107.5, thefan.com. Rakestraw's on here tomorrow. PJ Carlissimo is on here tomorrow. That and more. James, great job out of you. Thank you all for listening and hanging out on this Monday. Hey, it's time to really get excited. The finals in town for the first time in 25 years. Let's celebrate. Back to you tomorrow at 3.